Are you looking to purchase a new or used vehicle? Then you need to check out our sponsor, Brunswick Auto Mart in Brunswick. You can check them out on the web at brunswickautomart.com or visit one of their locations at Brunswick Auto Mart at 3031 Center Road, Brunswick Mazda at 3015 Center Road, and Brunswick Subaru at 2992 Center Road. That's Brunswick Auto Mart in Brunswick.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Believeland Prep Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Slez. With me, as always, my co-host, Joe Yule. What's going on, Joe?
Not much, Kev. Not much. Happy to be here. As always, excited for another week of football. Some great games we had this past weekend and some more great games we got coming up in week 3.
Yeah, another big week of games, like you said, in week 2. And then we've got some week 3 previews. But why don't you go ahead and kick off our recap portion for week 2?
Yeah, our small school game of the week, definitely got to talk about it here. Field at Southeast, we got a chance to talk to Coach Pat Ewell about their game this past weekend against Field. And he said that number one quarterback for Field may be the best player out there. And Braxton Baumberger did not disappoint. The quarterback went 8 for 10 with 123 yards. And he had a touchdown as well, rushing for 42 yards on 12 carries. He also did have 3 interceptions on defense. So obviously it was a very standout piece in that. Drexel McManus had 74 yards on 12 carries, 2 touchdowns. Garrett Green, wide receiver for Field, had 5 receptions for 101 yards. And then Robert Antha also added a touchdown in there with 39 yards on 5 carries. Field's offense, had 207 rushing yards and 123 passing. So, a very firepower offense from Field. Southeast, Randy Williams, senior quarterback, he had 11 carries for 30 yards rushing. He went 3 for 10, 4 interceptions in the air, and for 50 yards. So obviously a rough night for Randy Williams. Coach Ewell talked about how he's kind of still settling into that new area on the varsity level.
Right.
Nate Muncie, 4 carries for 11 yards and 1 touchdown. And Michael Phillips, 3 carries for 1 yard and 1 reception for 8 yards. So obviously, Field understood the game plan, shut down their impact player, and they did that very well.
Yeah, they did. It was an impressive win for sure. Like you said, Coach Ewell talked with us on his interview about the friendship he has with the head coach of Field, and but once you get on the on the field, you put all that aside, and then you're at
it. Most definitely. We had another. We had another big game where Rootstown had a big time comeback against Champion.
Yeah, they actually trailed in that game, 22-12 going into the fourth quarter. But our week 1 Daystar Ford Player of the Week, running back Cody Kuntz, came through late. He had a couple touchdowns. The last one with 2:46 to play from 43 yards out, and another stellar game for Cody. He had 242 yards and 3 touchdowns for the season in 2 games. He has 560 yards and 7 touchdowns. So not bad, not bad at all.
Yeah,
but big comeback win for Rootstown to go to 2-0 on the season.
Yeah, most definitely. And we talk about big wins and everything, and we go into Ignatius's game against Avon, and obviously, Ignatius's game against Menor, and they played that game at First Energy Stadium. Game went into triple overtime. So obviously a very tough battle. Both teams being shut out in the first 2 overtimes. Sean Martin having the walk-off touchdown on a power to the left, about 30 yards. Sean Martin's total stats were 114 yards and 3 total touchdowns. He also did have an interception on defense. He plays defensive back. He's a junior. And then junior quarterback Josh Popish went 12 for 18 with 239 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, they're definitely kicking Coach Kyle's final season off on the right note. Men are falling to 1-1. Scotty Fox, sophomore quarterback, struggling, went 15 for 30, 50% completion rate, 190 yards, 3 touchdowns. He also had 3 interceptions, though. So, Coach Grace for the Menor Cardinals definitely said that, it was a game full of mistakes, and whoever had the ball last and who made the play, and Sean Martin, who had the ball last, and he made that play for the St. Ignatius team. Jordan Stapleton, though, wide receiver, had 9 receptions for 140 yards and a touchdown as well. So, Ignatius winning 26-20 in triple overtime, obviously a big win for the Wildcats, and getting Coach Kyle off on the right note.
Definitely. And that final season, what they're shooting for.
Wow. Yeah, most definitely. Those kids, I saw a clip of Sean Martin's of his game-winning touchdown, and the thrill that Ignatius's team had, not alone winning in triple overtime, but just, you can tell that team plays with a different motor this year, it seems like. And the little clips that were posted on throughout Twitter and everything, you could tell that they're playing with a different gear this year because, they really want to send Coach Kyle off on the greatest note possible.
For sure. So we got a big scoring game. Perry put up a 60 spot on Kenston, beating them 60-32. This was actually a 5-point game in the second half, but Perry put the hammer down defensively and offensively, held Kenston to 7 points in the fourth quarter when they really took control of the game. First score of the game was a 75-yard punt return by Braden Richards, who's kind of the do-it-all man for Perry. So check this out. He had 5 touchdowns on the day. 4 of them came on a 75-yard punt return. He had a 24-yard touchdown run, a 68-yard touchdown pass, and a 9-yard touchdown reception. So when you say do it all, I mean, he literally did it all. Also,
that'll get it done.
He also converted two 2-point conversions. He also converted. So add that in as well.
Yeah, the kid doesn't stop. Most definitely, that's a great win for the Perry Pirates up there. I'll be one to say, I was shocked to see Perry knock off Kenston like that. I thought Kenston's got a nice little group going this year. Obviously not kicking their year off to where they would like to be at, to say the least.
Right.
It's difficult sometimes, but we talk about kicking off on the right note. And Medina's new quarterback, Danny Stoddard, replacing Drew Aller. I mean, this kid can sling the rock, man. I mean, he's one of those guys that you just look at and you're like, yeah, that's a dude. And it's nice having those dudes when you throw for 620 yards for 6 touchdowns. And he's a junior, so he's still fresh in the varsity game. He had 11 carries, 42 yards as well to tag along with that. Set a Northeast Ohio high school record with that performance. And just because I'm a quarterback guy, it's a big thing when you see that stat line and how much he threw the ball, and 0 interceptions. They attempted 50 passes on Friday night.
Wow.
They did not line up in one formation where the running back was in the backfield. They went 5 wide every single play.
Wow.
So obviously that's really good, but you get senior wide receiver Brennan Scram. The transition had to be a little bit difficult in going from Drew Aller to Danny Stoddard, but obviously we see Stoddard as he's a special player. Last week he had a great night. He had week 1 he had a really good game against Warren G. Harding when they won, and he had 302 receiving yards on 14 receptions. He had 2 90-plus yard touchdowns and 3 total. So I think it was difficult for the Avon Eagles to have some. I don't think they realized how good Medina is in their yards after catch. They're very explosive. They'll throw a bubble and it'll break off for 50 yards or something. Jack Wojcik, junior wide receiver from Medina, also had 125 yards and 1 touchdown and 9 receptions. And then Austin Knowles, wide receiver, junior, had 11 receptions for 153 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, Medina, the Battling Bees, they battled all day long. They ended up falling short, and they lost that game 42-43. But the Avon Eagles, Sam DiTilio, their quarterback, went 6 for 12, 54 yards, 9 carries, and 46 yards. The real story was that 1-2 punch for the Avon Eagles, and senior running back Gavin Einhard, I hope I pronounced that correctly, probably did not. 11 carries, 87 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And then Jakarion Caffey, junior running back for the Eagles, 26 carries, 298 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I have a slight feeling that Danny Stoddart and Jakarion Caffey are not going to be names that we don't become familiar of.
Oh, yeah. Well, all those schools that missed out on Drew Aller might be after Mr. Stoddard in another year.
Yeah, most definitely. Avon finishes that game 2-0. They welcome Glenville this upcoming week. And then Medina finishes that game 1-1, and they travel to Wadsworth next week to a 2-0 Wadsworth team. It's a very hostile environment in Wadsworth. So,
all right. So Friday night I was out in Ravenna for Ravenna and Holland. Both teams came in 0-1, looking for their first win of the season. Ravenna got off to a good start. They scored 2 touchdowns in the second quarter, got off to a 14-0 lead. Looked like they might run away with it for a minute, but Holland made some good adjustments defensively and really put the clamps down, but they just couldn't get anything going offensively in that second half. Ravenna came up with some huge defensive plays in the second half. Quarterback Mikael Williams had over 100+ yards total, 2 touchdowns. Pavel Henderson, what a game he had. He was a running back, defensive back. He had 74 yards rushing, caught a nice 50-yard touchdown reception, and had a sack and a huge sack late in the game and an interception as well in that second half. That was part of that defensive stand for Ravenna. They've got some athletes on offense. Another running back, Daniel Sanders, had 77 yards. I think only had like 6 or 7 carries. It was first win for new head coach Joe Callahan, and I had a chance to talk with him after the game. So let's take a listen to that.
We're here with Ravenna coach Joe Callahan after getting their first win of the season, 14-7 over Holland, and not only first win of the season, but your first career win as Ravenna coach.
Yeah, no.
Congratulations. How's it feel?
Thank you. It feels awesome. I mean, it feels incredible, especially after how things ended up last week to Lorraine. I give a ton of credit to I give all the credit to our staff, our kids. Everybody was obviously very upset with how things ended last week, and they answered the bell. We came back in, probably had our best week of practice. Our kids were locked in and made plays when we needed to get a big win, which was huge for us to kind of get things rolling and getting everybody to buy in. But I'm incredibly proud and happy for our kids getting the first win of the season, and hopefully, like I said, we can start to build some momentum and get ready for next week.
So you guys went up 14-0 in that second quarter. It looked like for a minute you might run away with it. What was the difference in the second half?
Second half, Holland came out. They made some great halftime adjustments. They started sending guys, more guys than we could block, which is kudos to them. They made, that's what football is. It's a game of, almost a game of chess. They made some great adjustments and, put their kids in spots to make plays. It was awesome that we were able to hold them off there. We got a little dinged up, so hopefully we got a great training staff that's gonna treat our guys and hopefully get them back ready to go as soon as they can. But we got a little dinged up, and we're having to dig deep. And I'm really proud of our guys for doing that.
That defense came up with big play after big play in that second half, stopping Holland.
Yes.
How proud are you of the defense?
I'm incredibly proud of the defense. Pavel Henderson played one heck of a game, offensively, defensively. He had a big pass play offensively, but defensively, he did a great job making plays. He had, I don't know how many tackles for loss, but he had a big pick. It was really impressive there at the end. Pavel wanted the ball, and that's what competitors do, and that was great to see it when we had the ball down here on the 4-yard line, and we went with Pavel. Didn't get it. Holland made a great play, but Pavel said, "Hey, I got you, coach. I got you," and he did. He came back, made a heck of a play there defensively, and all of that.
All right, so now that this one's done, we can look ahead to next week. Big rivalry game going into what we can assume will be a hostile environment at Kent Roosevelt. How do you get your boys prepared for that one?
Our guys are competitors. I don't know that I'm going to have to get them up too much. I know that's a game that we're always looking forward to because it's been such a great tradition, and we're really, us as a staff is looking forward to a great atmosphere. I mean, it's always a great game, whether it's there, here. So it's great for our kids because, in 10, 15 years, 20 years from now, they're going to be talking about, hey, when they were a senior in 2022 and what that game was like and everything. So our guys are going to be going to need to respond and be ready to go, but hopefully they're going to answer the call again and get locked back in and ready to go for next week.
All right, appreciate it. Congratulations again.
Thanks, Kevin.
All right, that was Ravenna coach Joe Hallahan. Congratulations, getting your first win over Holland, 14-7. And for Holland, their whole offense was pretty much Marco Masucci, their running back, had 75 yards on the touchdown. But other than that, they didn't have much going on. But staying in Portage County, we had a Crestwood Red Devils beat Minerva 28-0 for their first win of the season. It was a nice bounce back game for a couple of their offensive players. Charlie Summer, their first year quarterback, was 5 of 9, 74 yards and a couple touchdowns. And Nate Blasio, who really got stuffed by the Rootstown defense in week 1, broke out for 176 yards. That was good to see. And Tommy Gorger, one of their defensive backs, had a 19-yard pick six. And that Crestwood D really put the hammer down on Minerva, shut them out. So congrats to Coach D'Amato on his first win of the season.
Yeah, no, most definitely happy for the Red Devils to get that win. Go to a little bit bigger of a scale. One of our other game of the weeks, our Brunswick Automar game of the week, was St. Ed's versus Pittsburgh Central Catholic in the Freedom Bowl that was played at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium that you see behind me. From what I heard, packed out crowds. There was a report on Max Preps that had 5,000 people in attendance for a high school football game.
Wow.
So yeah, obviously everybody showed out for that game, but the Eagles didn't shy away from the competition, and they really showed why they're the number one team in the state. Eagles finishing that game 2-0, sending the Vikings off on an 0-1 start to their season. Senior quarterback Casey Bullock for St. Ed's had 165 yards and 2 touchdowns. Also added a touchdown on the ground and 45 yards rushing as well. Marvin Bell, running back, had 55 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then Kyan Mason caught 97 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns as well. So, I mean, the Vikings hung around in the first half. They went into the break down 21-10. And then, like I said, Ed showed why they're the number one team in Ohio and the 24th team nationally. They shut out the Vikings in the second half. So obviously a good showing for Coach Lombardo and the Eagles. And they're going to be looking to play this big time game against Cherry Creek, Colorado. They're going to be welcoming them to Lakewood Stadium this upcoming week, and I'm excited to see that game because Cherry Creek kicked off their season this past week with a 1-0 start. They beat Ralston Valley. Cherry Creek, I mean, you want to talk about a team that's been on a hot streak for a while. They are going for a 4-peat for Colorado 5A division.
Wow.
They had a chance back in the 90s, in 94, 95, and 96. They had a chance to win one in 97 and couldn't do it. But everybody thinks that Cherry Creek can go ahead and get another one this upcoming season. So I'm excited to see how that goes because they started their quest for history off on the right foot. And obviously Ed's is hungry. They want to get a win, and I'm excited to see how Coach Lombardo gets his team ready to handle this big game. We talked about when we had the interview with Coach Lombardo about how he schedules a hard schedule for those Eagles, and they don't shy away from the competition. They want it. They want to play the best because they think they are the best, and they're showing every sign that they are.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, he alluded to how tough their schedule was, and I think I heard you say that he had said somewhere that this might be the best team that he's had, which is pretty crazy considering all the great teams I had. But I mean, so far they're showing it.
Yeah, no, most definitely. I mean, Coach Lombardo, you can definitely tell he's excited for this team. They know what's at stake this season, and they're ready to go give it a run for their money. We're excited for them. Being an Ohio fan in Northeast Ohio, hoping that they can go win their out of state competition and come back in when they're playing some more teams in Ohio and clean up that schedule a little bit as well. We're grateful for having Coach Lombardo on for that interview. So it was a good time talking to him and getting to know him.
Definitely appreciate that very much. So looking at another week 3 preview, we've got Beechwood at 1-1 traveling to Kirtland, who's 2-0 on the season. Beechwood beat Orange 43-8 in week 1, but lost to John Marshall Friday 32-7. They have 17 returning starters, but only have 24 players on their roster. So a pretty small team. New head coach Scott Fisher's in his first year. A couple marquee players to watch are quarterback Marquise Pickney and running back Jamon Caldwell. And also their offensive line, they have 4 returning starters, all 250-plus pounds, so they have a pretty strong offensive line. Kirtland, everybody's aware of them. They beat Painesville-Harvey 34-8 week 1, and beat a bigger Lutheran West team 21-0 this past week. Held Lutheran West to 60 total yards, negative yardage in the second half. So it was a hell of a defensive performance. They only had 227 yards total offense. It was pretty much on their defense this game. And Kirtland's pretty much a team on a mission this year after coming up short last year. So they've got their eye on the prize for sure.
Yeah, no, most definitely. I mean, and I do want to let everybody know something with this Beechwood team. This team they grind. They are the definition of grinding because, you said, Kevin, how they have 17 returning starters. They have 17 sophomores through seniors. Those extra kids that get them to 24 are all freshmen.
Oh, wow.
So obviously, it's a tough slate for the Beechwood Bisons right now. They're going to be, they're on a little bit of a down year, you could say, but they went out and won week 1, lost week 2, and excited to see how they match up against a perennial powerhouse in Ohio against Kirtland in week 3. But we talk about it all the time. We got some Portage County football. Garrettsville Garfield is going to be hosting Warren JFK. JFK's got a phenomenal quarterback in Caleb Hodwell. Excited to see how he adjusts against that very, very strong linebacker core for Garrettsville, having Keegan Sell in the middle, Devin Bates and Jesse Grace on the outside. So excited to see how that works and see how Warren JFK handles the physical single wing offense that Garrettsville runs.
And we also got a matchup of a couple undefeated teams in Gilmore Academy and Hawken, who are both 2-0. Gilmore beat Rhodes week 1, 40-20, and Warrensville Heights 42-16. So they put up 82 points in the first 2 games. They're coming off a 7-3 season last year, 20 returning lettermen. Their key guy is quarterback Jake Kavskich, who had over 1,700 yards and 24 touchdowns in 2021. So their offense goes as he goes for the most part. And you look at Hawken, they've pitched a couple shutouts for their first 2 games. They beat Trinity 35-0 week 1, and then Chippewa this past week 24-0. They got a couple brothers in that backfield. Senior Dominic Johnson, who's a speed burner. He had over 1,000 yards last season, and he's joined by his brother as his backup sophomore Jordan Johnson. They have a very experienced offensive line, a good running game, and also defensively they're very strong up front with the linebackers and defensive line. So it's a pretty solid team. Should be a good game. Somebody's going to suffer their first loss.
Hope it's Gilmore. I hope it's Gilmore. I'm a university coach. I can't. They're right down the street. So is Hawken. I have mixed feelings about this game, to say the least.
Definitely.
I'm not really sure who I'm gunning for, but I know I'm definitely split at this next matchup that we got. We got Field traveling to Rootstown, and Field, I talk about them all the time because they are legit this year. The Field Falcons are going to be and are a really good football team. They're a really well coached team. They have one of the best players in Portage County, but let's not forget the fact that the Rootstown Rovers have Cody Coots.
Yeah.
Who is over 500 yards rushing in 2 games. And, against 2 teams who aren't that bad, and Rootstown knows how to battle from behind. We found that out. They know how to, they know how to beat and come back from a large deficit. We saw that as they were trailing for most of that game against Champion this past week, and we know that Field can fight. Losing on a 2-point conversion, obviously it's always tough. From what we heard, a controversial call. It's tough sometimes, but we're excited for that Field and Rootstown game. I think it's going to be an amazing game to see. Wish we could be there as a company and everything, but I know 2 locations that our guys are going to be at.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to be out at Kent Roosevelt for the big rivalry, Ravenna versus Kent. I know I talked with Coach Callahan a little bit afterwards about that and how he gets his guys prepared. And he said, this is one game you don't have to prepare them for because it's that rivalry game that they're going to be up for this already. So definitely looking forward to that one. And then I know we've got Joey Schneider doing his first game, and he's going to be out
Samples.
Yeah, and Dean Samples will be on the sidelines for Medina and Brunswick. So
now hold the phone, my man. We got Highland and Brunswick. My bad. Medina, Highland. We got Brunswick traveling to Highland. Excited to see how that game fares out. Anytime those 2 teams see each other, it's always a good game. Brunswick being Division 1, Highland being Division 2. Excited to see that. That's going to be our Brunswick Auto Mart game of the week, and our Medina Auto Mall game of the week. We're going to have for you Brunswick and Highland students and players and everything. We're going to have some T-shirts made up for you guys. Be passing that out at the game, and obviously we're excited for that Ravenna Kent matchup. I have a history with that. My whole family's from Kent. My dad being the only person on it. Excuse me. My dad being the only person on his side of the family that didn't graduate from Kent. And he coached for Ravenna, ironically, with Jim Lenardi for numerous years, coached their middle school program, helped out on Friday nights. So, I've been to a few Ravenna Kent games before, and it's a crazy environment. You won't see anything like it, really. In my opinion, the only other game that rivals that is the Holy War. There's nothing like Ravenna Kent rivalry. I mean, that's as good as it gets sometimes. And like we said, we're gonna have 2 people at Brunswick and Highland.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Kent Ravenna game. I'm sure it'll be a packed press box, but should be fun for sure. So what else you got? Anything?
I'm all set, Kev. I mean, I'm just excited for this week. My university boys were traveling to Bay this week, so we're excited for that game. Trying to bounce back from a loss to South Range. They were a tough team and everything, but we're excited for this new opportunity, knowing that we didn't play our best and that we made some mistakes, and we're ready to clean everything up and go see what Bay Village has for us because we're hungry. And so are all these schools that we talk about. It's only week 2 and we got 16 weeks of this, so we couldn't be more thankful that OHSA excited to extend the playoffs another round and make it 16 teams because that's one more week of football.
Right. Yeah, definitely looking forward to week 3, and we've got some more exciting stuff coming up this week. We'll have some more interviews leading up to some of the bigger games. And we want to thank our sponsors, Daystar Ford and Brunswick and Medina Auto Mart for helping make this all possible for us. So appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys. We're really appreciative of you guys joining us for sponsors and everybody's listening to the show or watching the show. Really appreciate it for the support and just excited for you guys to grow with us.
Yeah, we can't wait. We're definitely going to grow here soon.
Thanks.
All right, that wraps up our week 2 episode. I hope everybody enjoyed it, and we will talk to you again next Sunday.